Hello and greetings, fellow StarCrafters. PGL Milncraft here with Game 3 between FXOMoonan and Socke, rather, not Socke. Socke, which means sock in German, but in fact is not pronounced sock. This is going to be on SC Crossfire. Crossfire it was one of the new GSL maps that was, they kind of all created, it was kind of the first round of maps that were created after Blizzard's initial ladder maps. It's, obviously, as you can see, it's a really long and skinny map. And the expansions kind of snake through as you follow it. You go. There's little backdoor rocks here for the for this expansion, and then there's a ramp which leads to the expansion center here, and then there's like this little there's this little excuse me, this little platform right here, and a little platform right here. That overlook the, well, they don't quite overlook, but they're pretty close to the natural base. Then you kind of wind through, and then you can go up either the pass here onto the same thing, and there's this Zelnaga watchtower, and then the pass splits off, and then this one heads to the natural, this one kind of goes around to the longer route, and then of course there's two high yield minerals, which are here and here, which are a little bit harder to hold and defend, but people sometimes, like to see expansions, be able to go for it. A lot of times on this map, you see a lot of one base pushes in terms of strategy. You see one base pushes on the part of the Terran player. The one base strategy it's the only one base strategy I've really seen and really enjoyed and really liked that attacks like later within the game. Like that kind of waits until your opponents had their second expansion up. Attacking at like the 7 or 8 minute mark is the Banshee's siege tank build actually. And it's just a build where you get one factory, you get one starport, you build like 2 or 3, 4 Banshees, you build like 4 siege tanks or something like that. And then what you do is you just slow push to your opponent's base. And maybe you build some bunkers up here, build some bunkers on the low ground, and you just siege up right outside of their base. You use the Banshees sometimes to be able to spot the high ground. And then you just slowly move forward, take out the natural expansion, and eventually just take out your opponent. And I've seen that build work well on this map several times. It's really heavily dependent on the Terran player's control. That probe's just going to try to be a little annoying right here. He didn't know if the SCV was trying to set up a supply depot or something, which as you can see now he is. But the probe wanted to get out of there before the Marine got out and showed him who's boss. Always important to be able to keep your scouting worker alive. Now that probe's still alive, he can go ahead and move it around. He can maybe be able to pile on over here to see when he expands to this area. He can possibly just kind of check to see when the Terran player takes his third. He can hold the Zelnaga watchtower to see when the Terran player moves out, see if he's doing any sort of, 3 racks push, which is pretty rare, especially in a map which is as long as this one is. But, it's possible, and so it's always good to be able to keep that scouting worker alive and get that extra information. We see an earlier factor that we saw in the previous games. It's possible that FXOMoonan is actually going for the one base push. It's also possible he's going for some sort of, starport build. He's just going for an early drop. Early Banshee is really effective against Protoss, especially if they don't get a very early robotics core and you get cloak. Then the Protoss player can sometimes just lose to new Banshees going around. We see this SCV who's a little hurt already. He probably wants to try to skedaddle away from that probe so he doesn't get tasered to death. And we see a little bit of action from the Protoss player. He's got 2 gateways right away. It looks like he's going for a 2-gateway expansion. Warp gate, as I said, is 140 seconds, not 160 seconds, like it was after the addition of the patch. Protoss player is probably going to move forward. I'm not sure where he's taking that path. He's going to move forward, try to poke and deal a little bit of damage. And actually, he did hide his pylon right here, so he's going to be able to warp in new, fresh reinforcements, be able to move across here and deal a little bit of damage. He's not going to deal a whole lot of damage to the Terran player, because the Terran player's got the bunker watching out for this. And as long as you, keep the supply depots up, and then you send the SCVs to come repair, any Protoss attack is going to be stopped by that pretty much. Unless it's a relatively big attack, like Immortals or something, or a lot of gateway. It's a lot of Zealots dealing a lot of damage to the bunker, which since there's not a whole lot of surface area here, it's just not really effective. It's probably not going to be what we're going to see. But the Protoss player is definitely going to go ahead and poke out here. I'm not sure how effective this is going to be, and actually he's going to go ahead and pile on the low ground and hope to walk up to the top of the ramp, get the high vision to the high ground, and warp units in directly to the high ground. Or is he? Maybe not. Maybe he decided that that's not going to do. He's going to go ahead and poke up here and see what he sees. He sees the bunker. Does that mean he's going to permanently turn around? Nope, he's going to go ahead and hang out here just for a little bit. And actually, we do see some Banshees from the Protoss player and Siege Tank, so it looks like he's going for the one base one base push. He's going to send the Banshee up. He's going to go take a couple of shots at the workers. He's keeping an SCVs here in case the Protoss player decides to come back and looks for an attack. It's going to be really interesting. I've seen this attack fail more times than I've seen it succeed. Of course, it's a little anecdotal. I don't want to be, I'm not 100% sure that that's what's going to happen. I've also seen it, actually, my mistake, he's going for the one base siege tank Raven push. This is also a very effective strategy. I really like this one. This counters really hardcore counters a Dark Templar rush for players who like to do the Dark Templar expand. It also counters Stalker heavy builds because the Raven drops a point defense drone, and when the Ravens drop the point defense drone, all the Stalker hits become nullified, and then the siege tanks are able to just blast with impunity. The Protoss player, especially, if it's, let's say, if the Terran player is able to set up siege up here, which is a very great position to set up your siege tanks, by the way, then the Protoss player only has sentries and zealots to deal damage, and the zealots are going to get stuck on marines right here, which means that the siege tanks are going to be relatively safe from harm and able to blast away the rest of the army. We see this Banshee here with 1 kill. He's going to want to move out of there before the Stalkers move in. And actually, wow, stopping him from even getting a single hit off. Well, 1 hit there. But that was just a nice positioning on the part of Socke. We see, how many gateways is this? 6 gateways. Oh my goodness. It looks like Socke is actually going for the 2-gate push. It's also called the MC push because MC was able to do this push very effectively against a Terran player who had built, actually, was off the line of 3 bunkers on Shakura's Plateau. He's done it against other opponents as well, but this is the game I remember it from. And he was able to actually go forward and be able to just kill his opponent. Even though he had all those bunkers, he was able to force field all the bunkers, preventing him. We see that the little hidden pylon here was taken out. Good work on the Terran player. Moonan's done a really good job in this situation at keeping the pylons out of his base and out of his face, able to fry that little probe right there. He wishes he was on a different day. And actually, you can see the observer with the Raven. So he moves the Raven back a little bit. You should be able to take out that observer. But we see the 1 base push moving out now. And actually, he's taking an expansion, so this is not going to be an all-in push. He's probably going to move out. And the Protoss player probably should have defended that ramp a little bit harder. He might have felt that he didn't have enough forces, which is okay, but this is a really hard position to dislodge the Terran player from. He's going to lay his point defense drone probably about right here. Anytime, and there it is. And actually, he should have put those Marines in front of those Zealots to be able to take them out before they were able to take out the siege tanks. Now the Zealots were able to take out 2 siege tanks there. The loss of only 4 Zealots and maybe one Stalker. That's not really that big of a loss to take out those extremely vital siege tanks. And point defense drones actually do regenerate their energy. It takes 10 energy per shot blocked, and those are going to go. Oh, they should have fired there probably. If you're going to move up like that, you might as well fire to try to drain energy from the point defense drone. But point defense drones actually, they survive for 180 seconds. It's kind of a long time. It's actually longer than Stim takes to research. And blasting away at the pylon right now. Andy's got a Banshee over here. Nice work being able to separate the Protoss forces. Protoss is moving forward against those forces. He does have an Immortal now. That Immortal is going to be really effective because it doesn't fire a projectile shot, so it can't be shot by the point defense drone. So they're going to go ahead and take out the SCVs building the forces. The Immortal should focus fire the siege tank. Oh my goodness, you do not want to lose that Immortal. Whew, that was way too close. That Immortal is going to be extreme. Oh my goodness, he's about to lose the Immortal. Oh my god! 2 health! 2 health of the Immortal. And that Hellion, it's going to be taken out. You got to focus it down. Focus it down. Goodbye. Not very good control on the part of Socke. This push is doing a good job, and actually he's already got his expansion secured. He doesn't have any workers over there because he's too busy micromanaging, which this is more important. Marines are able to move up, deal a lot of damage to those Stalkers. They're taking a lot of damage in return fire from those Stalkers. Point defense drone saving against Master right there. And we have the 2 bunkers already built, and an auto turret right here being able to provide a little bit of protection as well. He's going to try to build bunkers an inch closer to the Protoss player's base. The Protoss player, of course, can't move up because it can't move up because the siege tanks have such a wide range of fire. We are going to go ahead and select them so you can see their range of fire. We see another Immortal and a second Immortal coming out. If he had kept that other Immortal alive with a little bit better control, he should be able to move up and deal a lot of damage to those siege tanks. Of course, siege tanks can only take, 3 and then 1 Stalker hit from Immortals before they're taken out. And now you see that he's actually in range of the Nexus. This is when the Protoss player is going to have to move out. Immortal, great job focus firing that siege tank. That's one of them that is down. Raven's going to want to wait till it gets to 100 energy most likely before it lays down its point defense drone. And actually, Terran player's a little light on units. He probably wants to put those Marines into the... nope, he's going to go ahead and keep them out there. And is able to kill all the Protoss units. Protoss is evidently even weaker on units. Do we have... Nope, we do not have any Banshees. We have additional Banshee on the way, though. That siege tank's a little bit out of position. I don't think he intended to go that direction. Those siege tanks are kind of out on their own. A couple of Zealots could actually deal a lot of damage and possibly kill those siege tanks. I don't know if the Protoss player realizes that. Probably not. That there actually aren't that many Marines guarding these siege tanks, so we should go ahead and just attack. Evidently the Raven lost some of energy. I guess it laid a turret down. A little turret out there is going to be a little effective. There you go. You want to focus fire those siege tanks. Take one out, take the other one out. There you go. And you're going to move forward, deal a lot of damage, and take out all three of the siege tanks. Those are the most important things in this situation. That's out. All the Marines in there. Most of them were hurt already. They're going to be taken out. This siege tank's going to go down pretty quick too. Bad rally point for him. It's unfortunate that he's going to die as well. And the Protoss player is going to retreat again. He's going to want an SCV to repair that. It's not going to get there in time, however, unless he drops a mule on it, which is kind of a waste of a mule at this point in time. That bunker's not super vital. And this push is going to fail. Moonan is probably going to want to back off of this push at any point in time. If anything, he needs to be focus firing the Stalker, probably the injured one. He's not going to do that. He's just going to lose his army, which is fine. Building 3 bunkers to make sure he doesn't get counterattacked and just loses. And actually, if we go to the income tab, Terran player is way ahead. He has 42 harvesters to 27 on the Protoss player. Protoss player got way too nervous during that section, and actually rightfully nervous. He wasn't able to build a lot of workers. There you go. Want to pull that Banshee out, and I guess he's going to take one more shot before able to get out of there. But the Protoss player had to cut a bunch of workers there in order to be able to build additional Immortals, and that meant that he wasn't able to produce as many workers, which is why he's chrono boosting workers onto both Nexuses right now. And he's barely going to be able to catch up. And once he catches up with workers, he's still behind because the Terran player, of course, has mules, which is their macro mechanic, whereas the Protoss macro mechanic, chrono boost, just lets you get workers additionally faster. So really, the Protoss player needs to have a worker advantage at this point in time. The fact that he doesn't shows how far behind he is, and the Terran player did a lot of damage with that one base push. It served him really well by laying down an expansion, not just going all in, sending a bunch of SCVs, and making sure that, you know, like if he hadn't taken out the Nexus, if that was an all in, he hadn't prepared for, you know, like by building an expansion and, you know, getting more workers to be able to populate the expansion, then he would be way behind right now and probably still lose, even though he had a relatively successful attack. But as it stands, he's in a good position. He's got a lot of bunkers, because he knows how far ahead he is and how many workers he killed from that attack, and how many workers he was able to siege tank and Banshee. We see a couple Marines just checking for pylons. Moonan, of course, being way on top of that this whole series. That little poor soldier just got splattered by that Stalker. That Stalker feels pretty good about himself, having killed the Terran player. Or killed it, not the Terran player. Oop, that Marine gets splatted as well. He killed a Marine, of course, not the Terran player. We see this force coming out. Very mighty force. You got the Raven with 150 energy. That's going to be enough for a point defense drone for when the eventual battle comes. That's going to be extremely useful as it neutralizes so many shots. Each one, I believe, at 200 energy, neutralizes 20 shots from Stalkers. That's a lot of shots that are going to be neutralized, especially if it lays down 2-point defense drones. They're very useful pieces of equipment against Protoss players. We see him getting his armor level 1. I've already talked previously about why armor is so important. However, the Marine players, Terran player is going to be able to cancel that out with the weapons. Charge is also very good against the Terran player, especially against siege tanks, because the siege tanks don't deal that much damage to Zealots, only deal 35 damage. We see those moving in. He's going to take. Oh, it did not take it out. I thought he was going to take out that Banshee on the right there. Lucky Banshee pilot able to survive. And actually, these Banshees have 8 kills between the two of them. They're going to go behind right now while the Protoss player is distracted. While Socke going out here shooting at the factory to be able to take out the line of sight. The Banshees are going to move in. There's a cannon there, so they got to be a little careful if he's not watching. Oh my goodness, and here's the battle. Lots of force fields here, able to prevent a lot of the soldiers from being able to fight, but mostly from being able to retreat and kite. Mostly he's not going to deal any damage. The Banshees have all been taken out. They didn't do any damage against the cannon. Meanwhile, oh my god, this is just way too many units here, and we see that Socke is just going to go ahead and GG out of this, and we see that Moonan is going to be able to take this game. Great work with the one base push from the Terran player, able to deal a lot of damage to the Protoss